Can Diego Lopes win the belt against Alexander Volkanovski? Do we give him a real chance of winning? Because yes, we do criticize the matchmaking, but at the end of the day, this is the fight we got, so we might as well try to break this down and see, can Diego Lopes make the adjustments to beat Volk? Now, in my opinion, a lot of the best chance for Diego Lopes to actually win this fight is banking on the fact that Alexander Volkanovski will have significantly slowed down, that his speed isn't going to be what his once was. He's not going to be as explosive. His chin is going to be even worse. It's going to also be banking on the fact that Diego Lopes is going to get better, improve striking defense, be able to move his head off the center line, be even more explosive, have more power, etc.
The bold prediction just dropped. Volkanovski demolishes Diego Lopes in 95 out of 100 fights. Not a chance, according to one undefeated contender. Lopez has only a puncher's chance, a sliver of hope in 100 duels. This isn't just talk, it's a direct challenge to the very integrity of UFC matchmaking, shaking the MMA world. A champion facing an overmatched opponent, while a true threat watches from the sidelines, furious. The implication? Some fights aren't about skill, they're about something far more cynical. The featherweight division questions if merit still matters.
Obviously, Diego supposedly hits hard, he's got a puncher's chance. Any MMA fight, we know that it's a very dangerous fight, but I think if they fight 100 times, I think Volkanovski wins 95. That's my opinion. I believe Volkanovski comes out of it. He fights a smart fight again, and bro.
The undefeated Lerone Murphy, carrying an unblemished 17-1 professional record, including 9-1 in the UFC, is wrestling with a bitter reality. His frustration isn't just spilling over, it's erupting in every interview. Murphy, the kind of fighter who traditionally earns a title shot through sheer dominance, finds himself overlooked. He feels a golden ticket was snatched from his hand, an opportunity for legacy and financial security vanishing before his eyes. This isn't just about a fight, it's about the erosion of a promise made to every elite competitor. The sport's foundational principle feels under attack.
We saw the news. It's unbelievable. Talk to me about what went through your mind when that dropped.
Ever since I went in there and knocked out Pico, I thought for sure I'm next in line, and everything seemed to be going my way. But I could have went to Australia, fought a close fight with Volkanovski, and they could have robbed me. Who knows? Imagine a scenario where Volkanovski wins, retires, and then they make my fight the title fight. You just never know.
When you look at somebody with your record of what you've been able to do in your career in the UFC, it's almost like, does that mean anything? Does that win streak mean anything? One day I hope I get like Sean Shelby or Mick Maynard or Dana White on the Mighty Cast, because I was like, okay guys, make it make sense.
Prize fighters, we need money, we need to fight, but bro, I want that crack at the title, bro. It's like, that's legacy right there, and that's to set me up as well. It's massive, and it's something that I'm never going to be able to get now because of that. Not because I didn't earn it, because of obviously favoritism. He thinks I'm hating on him. I'm happy for him. Well done. You got the title shot. I don't care. Like, it is what it is. You don't make the fight.
Murphy's anger stems from the unbelievable decision to give Diego Lopes an immediate rematch against Alexander Volkanovski. Lopez had already faced the champion just months earlier, losing decisively by unanimous decision. Now, inexplicably, he gets a second bite at the apple, while Murphy, fresh off a spectacular knockout, is left on the outside looking in. This isn't just a slight, it's a slap in the face to every fighter who believes in a clear path to gold. The call for Lopez makes no sense on paper, fueling accusations that something else is at play, beyond raw performance.
They probably think like, oh, Demetrious and Lerone, well, you have every reason to be mad, but think that Diego Lopes shouldn't, or hating that I'm mad that he got it. I would say I'm not mad. I just wanted to make sense, right? Like I've been in your shoes before, right? Like I've defended the belt so many times. I see the guy who's next in line. You know, Joseph Benavidez, after I knocked him out, I beat him in you know, in Toronto. He goes on a 5-fight win streak. He gets the next title shot. John Dodson, I beat him. He goes on 5-fight win streak. Nowadays, it's like you lose to the champion, you go get one fight and you come back like pop. Like you're already back in the title shot, right? It's same thing. You know, you look at Peter Yan. He just fought Merab. He took him 3 years. 3 years to get back a title shot, right? It's like, it doesn't, it's almost like, you know, that's what I talk about Dana White privileges, right? It's like how, like if they want to just say he's way more popular than you guys, he's getting a shot. That's why he's getting a shot. Just way more popular. I don't go, fuck, this man's on a, you know, 20-fight win streak. he's way more popular. Come out and say that. That way the fans can understand. Like, hey, dog, you got it.
Yeah, we know what's what.
We know what's what. Don't tell me that's a cat. Don't show me a cat and say it's a shark. Like, don't do that to me, right?
Murphy's recent performance was supposed to be his undisputed golden ticket. At UFC 319, he delivered one of the most spectacular finishes of the year, catching Aaron Pico with a spinning elbow that sent shockwaves through the division. That knockout wasn't just another victory, it was a statement designed to force the UFC's hand and land him opposite Volkanovski in Sydney. Instead, the promotion chose a different direction, opting for a familiar face over undeniable momentum. The impact of that decision reverberates deeply, questioning the very purpose of his relentless pursuit of excellence.
Ilya or Patty? I mean, the fight not happening. It's Justin or Patty now. Patty got to get past Justin. Justin's a tough fight, bro. I don't know. A lot of people sleeping on Justin on
The stakes for Murphy are incredibly high, extending beyond a single fight. He grapples with a nightmarish hypothetical. What if Volkanovski wins, retires, and then the title fight Murphy earned never happens? His potential shot at legacy, at setting himself up for life, could vanish into thin air. He articulated this chilling scenario, exposing the precarious nature of a fighter's career when decisions are made, seemingly without regard for merit or the future of hungry contenders. It highlights a brutal truth about the fight game. Even an undefeated record offers no guarantees.
Pimblett and Justin Gaethje, who do you favor in that fight?
I gotta go with Gaethje. I feel like he's the one that loves to like get down and throw fist for fist. And he's also got the Division I wrestling to negate some of the biggest skill sets of Patty. Patty's like a very dominant grappler when it comes to submissions. I think Gaethje has the tools to keep it where he wants it.
Murphy's core question cuts deep. Does that win streak win anything? He wants a direct conversation with UFC brass, Sean Shelby, Mick Maynard, Dana White to make it make sense. Prize fighters need money and fights, but Murphy craves the crack at the title, the legacy it represents. He feels this vital opportunity, something he earned, is now never going to be able to get because of favoritism. This isn't hatred for Lopez, it's a demand for transparency and a fair shake, illustrating the growing chasm between fighter expectation and promoter reality.
Patty's not bad, dude. Patty's not bad. He's very beatable, and Gaethje's very beatable as well. But when it goes into the passion and how upsetting Justin Gaethje has always been about not getting that real title shot, and they just keep dangling it right there again, Patty's in for a new treat, right? Patty's the one that's never fought for a belt. He's going in there. He's going to be trying to, get that stuff. He's going to feel a little bit more fresher. He's going to have that little bit of excitedness, in my opinion.
The legendary Demetrious Johnson, known for his analytical prowess, has publicly echoed Murphy's frustration. On his YouTube channel, Johnson voiced similar complaints about the Volkanovski vs. Lopez rematch. He pointed out the obvious. Lopez had his chance at the title, lost decisively. Most scored it 4-1 for Volk, and then secured a rematch after a back-and-forth war where he absorbed significant damage and nearly got stopped. Johnson questions the logic, suggesting this decision came down to Lopez's popularity and marketability rather than any tangible sporting merit. This independent validation gives Murphy's claims powerful weight.
Paddy Pimblett, Justin Gaethje fighting for the interim title. Whoever wins that fight will move on to fight Ilya. And I don't think that there will be a title defense for the interim title. If I was to guess, if I was to bet, there will be no title defense of the interim title. I think that the next fight for whoever wins between Paddy and Justin, I think their next fight will be Ilya Topuria. So do not think they will defend the interim title. So good movement and clarity at 155 pounds. I feel for Arman Tsarukyan, but this fight's going to be incredible.
Johnson drew a stark contrast between past and present UFC matchmaking, coining the term Dana White privilege. He recalled a time when fighters like Joseph Benavidez and John Dodson earned their second title shots after accumulating 5-fight win streaks post-championship losses. Now, Johnson observed, a fighter can lose to the champion, win just one subsequent fight, and be immediately back in a title shot. This new paradigm, Johnson argued, represents a fundamental shift away from meritocracy, creating a two-tiered system where some are fast-tracked while others wait indefinitely.
That night 8 years ago, it's like the first thing that comes to mind when you think of that fight with Justin?
That I'm glad it's over and I never want to do it again. I'm like, the fans don't ever ask for a rematch or anything like that, because that would have never. I'm like, I'm glad. He's unique, man, and he's one of my favorite guys to watch. So like, but if you want to beat Justin Gaethje, you have to. So he's a forward fighter and a pressure fighter that he will stand in the pocket, and he's gonna throw everything he got in that pocket. If you don't meet him, you'll get chewed up. So Patty, the way to beat a guy who like does this very violent, aggressive pressure fighter, you have to meet him. You have to throw when he throws. So you got to be brave, and you have to go when he goes in between his shots. If you do that, you got a fair shot. If you don't do that, if you're not brave and courageous and throw when he throws in between his shots, it's going to be a really long night. It's going to be a hard night for you.
To further illustrate his point, Demetrious Johnson brought up the example of Petr Yan. After losing his title, it took Yan 3 long years to get another shot at the belt. This starkly contrasts with the current trend of immediate rematches or quick returns to title tension after a loss, especially if a fighter is popular. Yan's arduous path highlights how some fighters are forced to grind through the ranks, while others seem to circumvent the traditional process. It exposes a perceived inconsistency in how opportunities are distributed, fueling the narrative of unequal treatment within the promotion.
They're not even, like, they're just basically saying Patty's more popular, you're getting it over Armin.
Yeah, it's kind of sad, right? And that's, I mean, God, I hate like how I kind of get into this too much, but I mean, that's really like, that's the definition of, you know, a monopoly where a single promoter owns the title and the rankings. And it's not a good thing for the sport, in my opinion. And I have to question what it's going to do for the longevity of the sport. You know, I don't think in the short term it's really going to make a big difference, right? Like, you know, it's going to sell the next fight, right? It's going to sell the next pay-per-view. But trends tend to come and go, right? Fads tend to come and go. At some point, like, you know, to have staying power and lasting power, I think it requires, you know, a meritocracy-based system. It's going to require, you know, some, you know, if you want to bring in guys like Armin Sarukian or Movsar Evloev, I always mess up how I say his name. You know, you want to bring in these Olympic wrestling level guys. I mean, they don't want to have to go out there and put on some ridiculous show to become a champion. They don't want to have to go on Instagram and start a podcast and make you know, whatever kind of skits on social media and this silly kind of stuff. Like, they just want to be a world champion because they want to be the best athlete. And that's what makes me wonder how the staying power is going to be, right? When you're dealing with guys that are, you know, legitimate athletes that want to be legitimate athletes, and they're getting passed up by guys that are entertaining.
Johnson's ultimate challenge to the UFC is brutally direct. If decisions are based on popularity, just say it. He urges the promotion to come out and say that. Diego Lopes is getting a shot because he's way more popular than you guys. This transparency, Johnson argues, would allow fans and fighters to understand the true dynamics. Don't show me a cat and say it's a fuck shark, he quipped, encapsulating the frustration of being told one thing while seeing another. It's a plea for honesty in a sport often shrouded in narratives. Even Max Holloway, who has faced Volkanovski multiple times and understands the champion's abilities better than almost anyone, weighed in. Holloway finds it incredibly difficult to bet against Volkanovski in this rematch. His reasoning is simple yet profound. The champion has already seen everything Lopez can do. That invaluable experience from their first fight gives Volkanovski a massive, undeniable advantage. He knows Lopez's timing, understands his tendencies, and has already developed a winning game plan. Holloway recognizes the power of first-hand data, a critical edge for the champion. Beyond Volkanovski's tactical edge, Holloway questions why anyone would suggest the champion might retire soon. He argues that Volkanovski still has favorable matchups available at featherweight. Fighters like Movsar Evloev and Diego Lopes represent challenges, certainly, but Holloway doesn't see them as the nightmare stylistic problems that would push a champion into early retirement. Volkanovski, in Holloway's view, remains champion for a reason. He consistently gets the job done. The talk of retirement seems premature, especially with intriguing, winnable fights still on the horizon. The controversy isn't confined to featherweight. A parallel situation is unfolding in the lightweight division. Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett are set to fight for an interim lightweight title at UFC 34, with the winner expected to face undisputed champion Ilia Topuria. This booking has sparked its own widespread outcry, with multiple fighters and observers questioning whether Pimblett has truly done enough to earn a shot at gold, even an interim one. The echo of favoritism rings loudly here too, suggesting a pattern rather than an isolated incident in the UFC's matchmaking strategy. Justin Gaethje, a seasoned veteran, understands the dynamics at play. He knows the audience wants to see Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria, much like fans once clamored for Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. That potential matchup carries obvious promotional appeal, but Gaethje plans to disrupt those carefully laid plans. He intends to beat Pimblett convincingly, forcing everyone to accept him as the rightful #1 contender. He recognizes the commercial pull of his opponent, but remains focused on the meritocratic path, aiming to reassert performance over popularity, and he believes he's being slept on. Uriah Faber, a respected figure, breaks down the Gaethje versus Pimblett matchup with the confidence of someone who understands stylistic puzzles. Faber leans heavily toward Gaethje, his reasoning centered on who thrives most in absolute chaos. Both fighters are willing to engage, but Gaethje genuinely seems to enjoy knockdown, drag-out wars in a way few can match. He's comfortable when fights get ugly and messy. Pimblett loves to fight too, but Gaethje lives for moments where everything breaks down into pure violence. Faber also notes Gaethje's D1 wrestling can negate Pimblett's submission threat. Tony Ferguson, who has fought both men, offered a unique perspective focused less on technique and more on psychology. Ferguson didn't necessarily view Pimblett as superior, but he noticed something crucial about Gaethje's emotional state. Gaethje has experienced the heartbreak of losing 2 title fights. Another championship opportunity, even interim, might feel like reopening old wounds. Pimblett, by contrast, enters this moment with fresh energy and excitement, unburdened by past failures. Ferguson senses one fighter might be weighed down by history, while the other walks in feeling only anticipation. Dan Thomas approached the matchup from a tactical angle, analyzing Pimblett's place in the lightweight landscape. Thomas believes Pimblett stumbled into what might be his only realistic window to capture UFC gold. The division is stacked with killers, particularly rising threats like Arman Dzarukyan and champion Topuria. Thomas doesn't see favorable matchups for Pimblett against those younger, more explosive fighters. Gaethje, while still dangerous, is further into his career and more stylistically predictable. This makes him a better opponent for Pimblett, even if Thomas doubts Pimblett can control Gaethje or survive 5 rounds. Eddie Alvarez, who handed Justin Gaethje his first UFC defeat, delivered a stark warning to Paddy Pimblett. For Alvarez, this fight comes down to preparation. Pimblett needs a completely different training environment if he hopes to handle what Gaethje brings. Gaethje's intensity, Alvarez emphasized, cannot be easily simulated in a typical camp. It's the chaos, the constant collisions, the relentless pressure that Pimblett needs to adapt to before stepping into the cage. Failing to do so would mean experiencing Gaethje's unique pressure for the first time during the actual fight, a potentially catastrophic mistake. Alvarez's experience fighting Gaethje was so intense he famously said he was glad it's over and I never want to do it again. He advises Pimblett to teach Gaethje, you must meet his forward, aggressive pressure. Gaethje will stand in the pocket and throw everything he has. If you don't meet him, you'll be chewed up. Pimblett needs to be brave and throw when Gaethje throws, even in between his shots. This isn't just a strategy, it's a test of courage. If Pimblett fails to match that ferocity, Alvarez warns, it's going to be a really long night. Matt Brown voiced broader frustration about what UFC 34 represents for the sport's evolution. For Brown, Pimblett's sudden interim title shot feels less like a reward for beating top contenders and more like a promotional gamble based purely on popularity. Brown, a veteran, has watched MMA change, and this kind of matchmaking suggests a troubling shift toward favoring fighters who sell tickets over those who've genuinely earned their position through consistent performance and victories over elite competition. The implications for the sport's long-term health are concerning. Orman Todrukian, in Matt Brown's view, has done everything right. He's beaten stronger competition and proven himself against the highest level of opposition in the lightweight division. Yet, here he sits, pushed aside, so a fighter with more social media buzz, Paddy Pimblett, can jump the line. Brown's comments carried a half-sarcastic tone when he joked that title shots might as well be handed out based on Instagram followers. But beneath the humor sits a genuine concern about where the sport is headed, suggesting a profound injustice to deserving athletes. Brown fears this trend indicates a troubling monopoly where a single promoter owns the title and the rankings, undermining the sport's meritocratic foundations. While it might sell the next pay-per-view, Brown questions its longevity. He worries about what it means for legitimate athletes, like Olympic wrestling-level talents, who simply want to be world champions based on skill, not social media skits. If these athletes are continually passed over by entertainers, Brown wonders, how long will the sport retain its staying power and attract the very best competitors? It's a critical challenge to the UFC's current trajectory. These parallel situations in the featherweight and lightweight divisions starkly illustrate the tension that exists in modern mixed martial arts, the constant tug-of-war between pure meritocracy and strategic promotional decisions. Fighters like Lerone Murphy and Arman Tsarukyan believe they've earned their opportunities through undeniable performance, only to watch the UFC make different choices based on factors unrelated to what happens inside the cage. Whether this increasingly commercialized approach benefits or fundamentally damages the sport's credibility depends on who you ask, but the intense frustration from overlooked fighters is a powerful, undeniable force that cannot be ignored.